Welcome, everybody. This is Mxiety, and I'm on tonight with the lovely, lovely Andrew Ellis. Do you prefer Andy?
Andy's fine, yeah. Andy's perfectly fine.
Oh my God, your accent. I can't. I'm dying. I'm dying. Do you hear that a lot? I imagine you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
It's so good. Oy vey. But yeah. So I'm so excited. Okay, so here's what happened. Andy and I connected over Twitter a while ago, and then I was like, holy crap, this guy's like full of positivity and just super kind. I wonder if he gets crap for it, for being like a dude and you know, like talking about his emotions, period, never and then even more so being like, I'm positive and I'm out there and I'm here to help you. Like, I wonder if he gets crap for that. So we decided that we're going to talk about it. And before that, I asked him to review my book, and he got very enthusiastic about it, which was so cool. I didn't expect that. I had like a little nerd out moment that you were having a nerd out moment. So it was super, super, super sweet. But yeah, Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Other than you're a streamer, what's your thing? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So hi everyone, I'm Andy. I'm a Scottish content creator and I do my best to spread a little bit of light in this world, you know. That's mainly the thing I focus on, is trying to make this world a little bit of a better place. There's a lot of negativity, a lot of darkness that goes on, and I use a bunch of different platforms to show people, you know, it's how hard life can be. There's always a light to look for, and there's always a positive side to it. You know, we've just got to search for it, and I do my best to spread that.
That's lovely. Why did you start doing that? What inspired this?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Wait, what? That
I
is not. You're supposed to tell a story about how you were a very sad child, and then you just wanted to give to the world, and so here you are giving. Like, you gotta give me more. You were an orphan and abandoned, and found a sad kitten on the road, and you thought, hey, if I can make this kitten happy, I can make the world happy. Something. No, you're awesome.
so
You're awesome.
I like for this in general, this actual whole thing. I started this to become a professional game, like PUBG player unknown's battlegrounds player.
Okay.
That was why I started this.
Yep.
Eventually it led to me not really knowing what I was wanting to do anymore and starting to just accept myself for who I was. And that was something I'd never done before, because I catered to everyone in school. I tried to fit in with the
Mm.
crowd, not be bullied, and just be present, but not really do anything. Over time and over me doing this, when I started to kind of change and wanting to transition just to me, I realized I wanted to help others do the same, and realize that just being themselves is the best thing you can possibly do. And I didn't realize that for a long time. And I know I'm still young, and I know I've still got a lot to, or hopefully a lot to live. But there's some people who don't even realize that, and they're needing to understand. You know, we do get one shot at this, so we need to just be our best self. And that was what I wanted to start spreading, just trying to help people understand. You know, just being you and accepting you for who you are is the best thing you can do. And people's judgment can be left to the side. You know, you need to focus on you and yourself. That's what's going to bring you up. That's what's going to bring you that happiness. And that's just what's going to keep pushing you every single day to be better.
Oh my God, that is absolutely, that's beautiful. No, that's amazing. So it's just this notion that like, hey, do you feel like you're still kind of a work in progress, or you got
Oh,
this thing
yeah.
figured out? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. I don't think you should ever find yourself fully. I don't think that should ever be a thing. I don't think there's any end goal. There's no finish line. I think you should search your whole life and continuing to search to be a better self. You might get to a stage where you've found a lot of yourself. You know, you have found that person. But every day we can learn. Every day we can learn to be better. We can consume more. We can be a better person. We can do something nice for someone. Each day you're learning a little bit more about yourself. So I don't think there should ever be a finish line.
Oh my gosh. I absolutely agree. We've talked here about this concept of universal path too, which is everybody recognizes certain things about the world
Uh-huh.
together. So there's this idea that like we might all do it at different times, but we recognize certain universal truths and we
Oh yeah.
follow this path through life. Like, you know, like when you're a kid, it's recognizing that, hey, the world doesn't revolve around me, right?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So like as you grow. So I like that idea very much that you're describing, that like you don't get to a point and go, okay, I'm happy. This is it. This is happiness.
This is
I've
it. Fine.
arrived. Never unhappy ever again.
But yeah, no, I think that's the best way to go about it and live. There's something I always try and say, and it's the moment we don't want to learn anymore is the moment we'll fail. When people think they have it all worked out or they have it all figured out, you don't. You never have it all figured out, and you can never. You are never the top. You can always learn. You can always learn to be better, no matter what you are. And I think we should all live by that to an extent.
Do you feel like this came out of something? I know I'm maybe digging here, and that's okay. You
No,
can just
that's
tell me, hey,
perfectly
you're
fine.
digging. But do you feel like this came out of some kind of sense of like, hey, I want to belong, and so other people must want to belong, and
Yeah, I think it came from that. I done a lot of self reflection and still do a lot of self reflection. So when I look back on school and when I look back with what I've done, I'm really interested in human behavior. It's something that's always interested me within that psychological side and psychology side of it, as to why people act. And I've saw a lot of studies and I've saw things done about inclusion and about how people just want to be accepted for who they are. And when I looked back on my school experience and what people were doing in the different groups in school, and it was about like the cool kids and the nerds and like that sort of
sure.
stuff. People just want to be accepted for who they are, and no one really wants to be an outcast. And when I'd look back on mine, I realized like although I'd done well, I was into sport, I'd done well in that field, I'd captained teams, I'd done well educational wise. I worked hard. There was still a lot of me that never accepted or showed my personality because I was just too afraid of what everyone else thought. Um, and it made me upset that I saw a lot of people do the same. And a lot of people just wanted to fit in, and a lot of people just want maybe that social media recognition, whether it be likes, whether it be follows, anything like that. And it made me realize there's so much more to life than that. There's so much more to life than that. And I wanted to not help in that sense other people realize that, but just allow people to realize that option is there to just be you and focus on you. And I think that's what it kind of stemmed from.
I think we as people, personally found that we wilt away when we have to be somebody else and when we're consistently pretending to be somebody else. You can't hold that charade for long. And people might not recognize it. Like people might not have the self-reflection that you do to recognize it. And then they just become miserable. And they're like, why am I miserable? I have money, I have cars, I have whatever, I have social media likes, but I'm miserable. Why is that? And it's ultimately because you've done it all as somebody else instead of trying to figure out who you are.
Actually, you.
Yeah.
Really, really surprising thing is actually I had done that for the start of my content because at that time I didn't know who I was. I was still trying to cater to people. I did that on social media. And I catered to people and I tried to show people, I'm always positive, there's never a negative day. And then I had negative days within those times. And I was withering myself away, and I looked back at myself and I'm thinking, this is only hurting me. And I'm not just showing people that, hey, I'm human, that this is just me. So quite quickly, early on, anyway, maybe 2 or 3 months into doing all this, I took a little bit of a break because I just wasn't enjoying it anymore, because I just wasn't being myself. And I came back and I just wanted to be honest with people. And since then, I've never had to take an extended break like I'd had, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I don't know, who can be comfortable being somebody else? I mean, at the end of the
Not
day,
many.
So it's not about, so people kind of phrase this as like, oh, you're running after fame or you're running after, and there is definitely, I believe that there is a formula to, this makes an amazing Twitch streamer. And what, like Ninja's personality lent itself to being a big Twitch streamer and being discovered the way he was and all this stuff. Same thing goes for any big streamer, right? There's a certain personality type that does well, just like there's a certain personality type that's great as an actor. I know that I have a personality type that makes a great project manager. I'm very things that like I'm good at it. That's but people strive to be that ideal instead of figuring out, hey, what can I bring that is, and be the best at that, and then maybe be the new big thing because of what I brought that's different. Yeah.
I love that. No, that is really good. And it's spot on as well. People need to realize that although it is for the enjoyment and you can do that, there is a formula in some senses, as you said, to the way something works better than others. And his personality in that sort of sense does work a lot better because people do like that. Younger people are looking up to these people and are wanting to see who they are. And it's just the right thing and doing the right moves and using that formula to his advantage. And look where he is now. You know, that was after a decade of working hard, and it's incredible to see.
Yeah, that's another really, really good point. That's not, people also expect things to happen overnight, and I think that's a whole separate conversation. But do you feel like, I don't know, does social media like not bum you out? Does streaming not bum you out? Why do you think that is now?
I think mostly it's because I focus a lot more on just chatting streams now. That's what I like to do, and I get to know people on a really personal level now, and it's more so I treat everyone in the stream or in the Discord or anywhere like a family, and that's what I've always tried to do. And I feel that because I do that, and because I just talk to people like they're people and actually like their family and friends, then it doesn't really bum me out because every time I go on, I get to hear more about someone. I get to hear about their life, their successes, their failures, their ups or downs, and how we can all work through it. You know, I've met people less than a year and they've grown to be these incredible people and have learned so much about themselves. And that feeling of just going in and talking to them and asking them how they're doing, and they're telling you everything that they're working on and everything they're being successful in, it just warms your heart, you know?
I absolutely. Yeah. The next question kind of that always comes to me is we talk about positivity and almost to balance it out, but really because it's a real problem. Do you feel like, you know, what do you think about false positivity? Some people are like, that's not a thing. You're just positive and people rag on you because they feel jealous. And then, you know, especially because you're part of the Hype Squad, which you listen to the title. It's hype, it's excitement, it's, I mean, you guys are amazing, like super. I look up to so many streamers on your team, and that's amazing. So how do you differentiate like somebody who's just rolling with the positive thing that like you're describing you were doing before versus somebody that is like actually like well-rounded emotionally?
For me now, it's easy to tell because I was that person.
Okay.
That works in my favor quite heavily and this is why past experiences and bad past experiences give us the most life lessons that we can use. There's still a lot of people on social media who I do see who do it and use this false positivity. And if people don't really know what false positivity is, it's basically trying to persuade people that you are an insanely positive person and never really believing that there's a negative day. Everything should always be positive. Everything should be good. There's nothing be going wrong, even if a lot is going wrong in your life. You know, you're not being honest. You're not being upfront. You're not actually being you. And that's what we're talking about, the false persona earlier on. It's easy to tell because people will never ever try to say anything negative about what's going on in any situation or in their life, you know, and it's just not possible. I think it's important that if you're looking for someone who you actually want to surround yourself with and you're looking for more positive people, look for the people who are not only positive and try to bring others up, but are open and honest with the things that are going on in their life. I'm not saying you have to share everything that goes on in your life in social media, and for a long time I didn't, but I do believe that when someone shows that they're actually a positive person, it's not about always shining that positive light. It's about being open and honest and not actually trying to belittle or be negative to other people when they're doing nothing that's harmful to anyone. You know, and I think that's the difference between the two. And that's what I try to look for when I'm looking to surround myself with those types of people.
Do you find, I mean, you look at what we're describing, I feel like I pull to, right? Like I can also catch false negativity, false positivity, because I've like what you're describing, I've been there. I've been everything's fine, everything's great. Don't you love, like, look at this blonde little
just
girl,
the world
she's perfect.
burning behind you.
Right. But right. But at the same time, like, I feel like the entire website of Instagram is dedicated to people with the perfect food and the perfect car and the So why do you think people fall for that? Why do people want that?
I think it's exactly that. They haven't been in our situation. They don't realize that it's not real. I think people want that because they believe that life is real.
Yeah.
Everything's shown is what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
And that is why as well a lot of people go into that, because they believe that's what works, that's what exists. If this person's famous for what they're doing, then if I do that and I show my life's perfect, I will get that fame, I will get that money, I will get that job I want, everything like that. And people fall for that constantly. And especially now, the younger and younger the ages that people are getting, like smartphones and social media, the earlier they're going to be looking up to these people and realizing my life has to be like that. I have to have a six-pack, I have to eat healthily, I have to post every single day, I have to look beautiful. It's a vicious cycle of people falling into that trap and then allowing others to do the same, because it happens then within schools, happens within uni, college, everywhere, and it just spreads like wildfire. And that perfect life is never going to be achievable, because I can guarantee you a lot of those people who have that perfect life, it's completely falsified, and it's just for the social media to see and allow people to realize, hey, I've got money or I've got fame, try to be me.
How do you, I mean, and those people are literally just picking moments out of their lives. If you go through most of their life, it's actually like I am still friends with this girl, and she's not so much of an influencer, but she used to be at a time. And all of our, like, hey, let's go hang out, we would like go to an apple orchard, and she'd be like, okay, sorry guys, wait one moment, and she'd like go and have a photo shoot. So we're all just enjoying ourselves, picking apples, throwing them at each other, being silly. Meanwhile, she's like, wait, I have to have a picture perfect moment, and I'll be back to hang out with all of you regular people. So that's the reality of it. What the reality of it is. And I'm actually writing a piece about this that's going to publish early May, and it's about the fact that, like, people, I feel like, want realness, but they want an escape more. And so if there's a balance to strike where you could be too real, right? Like you said, you don't have to share your entire life. And it will happen, like with me, it will happen where I'll say, if I say more than 2 days in a row, hey, I'm still depressed, that engagement, people talking to me, people encourage, all of that drops down. What do you think?
It's a really, really interesting one, because of how sad that harsh reality is, about people care for the first day. It's not everyone, and it's such a hard topic to nail and really hit on the head, because you could be offending some people when in reality you're not targeting anyone. But a lot of people want to act like they care, to have that persona of, hey, I'm a good person. But then when times do get actually tough, and people do need help, and people are looking for that, those to look out for them, and you're just being honest and open, people then no longer care, because they're searching for that perfect life, and they don't want anyone to get in the way of that. It's such a hard topic to cover, and it's such a hard topic to get right, because in all circumstantial, it's difficult. Sorry, on you go. Oh no, on you go. Sorry, I thought you were gonna.
No, I'm sorry. I was listening to you, and I was like in a little bit of a trance. No, it's definitely, it's a harsh reality, but it's also it's a weird balance for us to strike as content creators, but to people's credit, like, I get it. So taking the example right now, the coronavirus is happening, right? And people are stressed. And
Yeah.
so many posts that I see are like, hey, come to my stream. We're not going to talk about it. It's a
Mhm.
no
Yeah.
flu zone. And I totally get that. That's everybody's
Uh-huh.
right. Like, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, that's totally
Mhm.
your right. But you then get people who might be a little bit more honest and being like, wow, I'm feeling like crap right now because this
Mhm.
coronavirus anxiety is really getting to me. You get that 2 days in a row, and then people are going, hey, I wanted this realness, and that's cool, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over here where they're not gonna talk because it's too much. So like, I
Yeah.
don't blame them, but I
Mhm.
do personally have like a crisis of, I want to share myself,
Mhm.
but I'm afraid that if I share, like, when do I share so much that it's actually
Yeah.
going to scare people
When
away?
does it pass that
Yes.
level that they're wanting to see?
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is as well, I think for me and what I've seen, what I've took note of is that a lot of people, as you said earlier on, use social media and that sort of stuff as an escape.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen, and I've met a lot of streamers and a lot of content creators who might have not had the best upbringing, but they've come to streaming and they've found this light or this new path, this new area where there's actually people who care. There's people who've gone through things, and I think that can help so much. I've met people who have had conversations just randomly out of the blue, first time ever meeting. They're talking about their life right away. And
Mm-hmm.
social media allows us to do that because no one
Yeah.
can see them face to face. Having a face to face conversation is so much harder than it is over the internet. You're behind a screen, no one can see you. So people can be a lot more honest. And I'm in the same boat as you. I don't, when a lot of people were saying we're never going to be talking about the coronavirus, like I don't want anyone talking about it. I don't think I want to talk about it because it's what's going on in the world. And if people are anxious about it, and if people are depressed and they're not feeling good, and they're really down about all this, if we can try and just bring a little bit more of a positive light to someone's life just for maybe that one day or a couple hours, we've made such a difference. That social
Yeah.
media and Twitch can sometimes, or Mixer can be an escape for someone. And it's as hard as it sounds, we are entertainers at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are wanting to entertain and help people.
Yeah.
Um, and if we can do that just for a few hours, it's a wonderful feeling to just allow them to escape a little bit from the scary world out there, especially in times of right now. Um, and it's such a hard thing to balance, about oversharing, about doing that and making it just as comfortable for everyone. But at some
Right.
point, we have to take a little bit of leap outside that comfort zone, and just talk about the harsh realities and the things that are really going on.
That's beautiful. Yes, that's it. Like, I am not, and I think uh maybe that's been where don't want to call it an issue, but that's where I've hit
Hmm.
bumps in the road, is
Yeah.
that I have said, and sorry to turn it to me, this is your interview, but
Whatever.
but I have said that, okay, we don't have to talk about coronavirus and all complain about it and complain. We can talk. Okay, so for example, the whole show, Anxiety, is about depression, anxiety, right? All mental illnesses. So
Hmm.
just to bring it away from the virus. And people often, like, the conversations that I've heard of, oh, I don't really want to stop by because, like, that's not, again, that's not why I watch a streamer. I
Hmm.
watch a streamer because I want to relax and get away from it. And I'm
Hmm.
kind of like, I understand your need to get away from it sometimes, because
Yeah.
I have that too. But I feel like too many people are trying to get away from it and not enough people are having productive, good conversations. Because you could have a
Yep.
conversation about mental health, about a
Uh-huh.
virus, about anything else that's bothering you, that ultimately brings good out of it. Because, like,
Hmm.
if everybody vents and then everybody comes out and goes, oh, here's now what we're going to do, right? So you have a
Hmm.
conclusion, maybe you have like a positive outcome that you
Hmm.
lean people towards. Like, that's how we try to run things here
Yeah.
with the community, is
Hmm.
that, like, we'll complain, but the goal is ultimately, let's get it to something good. And I feel
Yeah.
like people see, oh, they're going to talk about positivity, or they're going to talk
Hmm.
about depression, or they're going to, and immediately go, oh, I don't want to go there.
I'm out.
But there's right. But it's, you kind of said it too, and I'm kind of taking the words out of your mouth, but there is a positive way to have these discussions. Like, you can't just
Yeah.
shove your head in the
It is.
sand. Yeah, you can't. I
Uh-huh.
don't love politics, but I feel like I need a dose of politics so that I can
Yeah.
be aware of what's going on in the world. And
Uh-huh. I don't actually I don't keep up with the news anymore on the
Yeah.
TV. I don't watch the TV. The only news that I consume is when I go out and search for it just for a couple of minutes,
Mm-hmm.
because all you ever see on the news is murder or death or things that
Right.
are bad in this world, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
although I think it's important to be informed, I sat down last week just to see what it was, because I hadn't done this in a long while, and I sat down to watch the news to see
Mm-hmm.
what was going on, won some updates on the virus, maybe seeing what was happening, improve my knowledge a little bit. Every single story that went on was about death and
Yeah.
horrible things going on.
Yeah.
Now I get it that there's a lot of bad going on in this world, but you know there's still a lot of good. Even in times like these, we should be celebrating the good that's going on, celebrating the good
Of
things that are
course.
happening.
Yeah.
Um, and it can be so hard, you know, us trying to be that balance, us trying to show people that there is actually a light in this world when all they're ever bombarded with is negativity. People, I'm not talking about this virus at all. All these people are dying because these stupid people, but
Right.
there's still things that are going on in this world that are positive that we need to look at. You know, we will
Yeah.
get past this. We will survive this, and we need to look, as you said, a productive way of doing that. It's not about shining down on all the issues that are going on, but it's about looking at the issues from a neutral point of view and coming to a proper conclusion that doesn't scare the living crap out of everyone and anyone,
That's a
and making
very,
it just a
very
nice
good
place to
point.
be.
Yeah, that's the point. That's that you turn on the news, you turn on any news source, and they're just going to talk about all the awful stuff that's happening. So that's
Mm,
what people expect
yeah,
from their entertainment. Like, oh my god, if I turn into a mental health stream, they're going to do is talk about the worst parts about mental
yeah,
health. Or if I turn
uh-huh,
into a politics stream, all they're going to talk about is how much they hate blank politician.
yeah,
And the good people, the good productions, the good entertainers I have found are able maybe not to strike a balance and consistently being like, oh, I'm
yeah,
going to give you exactly the right amount, because that's hard to do.
hmm,
But they do make a productive conversation. So, like,
yeah,
I don't like this politician. Why don't you like him? What
hmm,
about his issues offends you as a person? What
yeah,
about, or her? What about what they've said makes you feel uncomfortable? Those are
hmm,
conversations that we shouldn't be shying away from. And when we say, like, don't talk about politics, don't talk about mental health, don't talk about religion, we are we're we're closing off a very important door. Yeah.
big time. That's such a good answer, such a good answer. Honestly, um,
That's
that's
for you. I don't want my
no, that's
answer. This is
amazing.
a really
It
good
was though.
conversation. I love that. I love this. We're like going back and forth. I love this. I don't get to do this too often. So I'm in. This is great. But sorry. Your point.
No, but that's so crucial, and it's something we try to do all the time, and I love that you do that as well, because and nowadays you don't find too many people who do that, who are not afraid to shy away from harder conversations to have. There are harder conversations to have, and when people shy away from them, we are telling them, and if you say that we're never allowed to have a conversation like that in here, you're telling them, you know, you're just dismissing what's happening in the world. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what you should, and we all should try to do. If someone doesn't like someone, just like, hold on a second, let's take a step back here, and let's look at it. So what is it about them you don't like? What can we
Right.
come from this, and what can we learn to
Yeah.
then be better in the future? You know,
Right.
you see the things
Right.
all the time on social media where people are messing up. You know, they're doing horrible things. It's pretty crappy people, and there is
Yeah.
going to be like that. Of course there is. You're never going to get all good people, and
Yeah.
you're not going to have bad people. But when people come in and they start to vent and they start to just rant of how bad they are and it's disgusting, how could they be doing that? Why don't we just take a step back and think, right, okay, they made a mistake, they can learn from it, yes, but let's all learn collectively on how to be better overall, and
Mm-hmm.
we can learn to be a better person in the future, and that can then spread. You know, that snowball effect does happen. One person trying to make a difference will spread eventually. It might take a long time, but I know that positivity can just start snowballing to every single person who wants to make a little bit of a difference and start to look at things a little bit more logically rather than coming to a snap conclusion about someone's bad or good, you know?
Yeah, there is, because there isn't a bad or good. There is,
Mm-hmm.
some people are uninformed. Some people just do crappy things. Let's be
Oh, yeah,
straight up,
yeah.
right? There are people who do like awful crimes that are not excused.
Uh-huh.
But oftentimes it's just a matter of like educating somebody. It's a difference between
Yeah,
them knowing and not knowing, right?
that is.
And I think we always the assumption that people jump to is that they knew and they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
And that kills me. That kills
Uh,
me. I really don't have anything else to say about this. It just bothers me.
no, I get that.
So my question to you is, do you feel like, so all this positivity and being encouraging and all this stuff, do you feel like it's harder for you? And I'm not asking you to speak for every dude. I'm asking for your personal experience. Do you feel like it's harder for you as a guy to do this, to talk about your emotions, to talk about positivity, to be upbeat, to be, encouraging and getting everybody in? Do you feel like it's just harder?
When I was in school and all that, yeah, it was a little bit harder. It was something not many guys done. No one had ever done that. I didn't use social media on my personal account before I'd started all this that much. The only time I ever used it was to put up informative information about mental health, where people could call if they were feeling suicidal or depressed and all that. So that was the only time I ever really used it. But even me doing that, I seen a lot of people who would message me and would say to me, like, I don't have the guts to say something like that, and thank you for just speaking up a little bit about it. And that it was a little bit upsetting, that some guys do feel that way. And I know a lot of guys probably do. And I've seen some arguments on social media about it was men who made the stereotype of them having to be the strong one and not show their emotions and all that sort of stuff. And it's a shame, because when it does come to that, there's a lot of factors that can make someone, and if we're talking about men in particular, not show their emotions. I don't actually find it that hard to speak about mine. I don't want to get in too deep, and I'm completely fine with saying it, so don't worry. But my mum had passed away due to cancer in 2009, and that was a really, really dark time in my life.
Of course.
I learned a lot about my emotions. I wrote like essays on that in English about it and how I was feeling and how I dealt with it. I talked to some people who were maybe going through the same things as me. So over the years, it's helped me a lot develop ways to help others cope, or maybe just get through times that are maybe a little bit harder, because I've been through hardships as well. And it's allowed me to then use this on the platform to show men and women, or any gender, that, it's all right to be upset. It's all right to not be okay. It's all right to not deal with hardships in the right way, but it's better to just talk about it. And that's what I try to do within the stream. And that's exactly what you do as well. I mean, the first thing that you'd done when you'd open the stream was tell me what's going on, guys. If there's anything you need to talk about, let me know. And that's something a lot of people will not do, because they just don't want to hear about other people's things. And I think it's so important for anyone nowadays to show them there's still people out there who will look out for you through thick and thin.
Thank you. We try. That's the whole point. And what I can't shoulder, because I'm one person, what I can't shoulder is the whole community is here to help with. And I think that's also been a very big learning experience, to be like, I'm not here to solve the world's problems. I'm here to listen and encourage. And then when I've run out of energy to be able to encourage, other people can step in and encourage as well. And it's just as good and it's just as important. And it brings us all together. I have so many times said what you're saying, which is just talk about it. Just freaking talk about it. Not talking about it gives so much power to the negative part of it. So much. You're keeping it in. You feel isolated. You feel like nobody cares. You feel there's not a positive emotion that comes from not talking about it.
Nope.
You feel like you have to suck it up. You feel like you have to be something else. Just talk about it. You might not hit the right person to talk to right away, but finding that person that you could talk to about this stuff is so
important.
Crucial. Yeah,
it really is. And it's something a lot of people actually say, and I try to always preach that too, about just talking. A lot of people don't realize the power of that, and it doesn't have to be much. It really, really doesn't. Someone could just say, I'm not having a great day, and you could just reply to them, listen, if you need to talk to anyone, I'm always there, and if you need to drop me a message and you just want to talk about it, that's perfectly fine. And people could then, their whole day could be turned around from one simple act of kindness of you just saying, I am here. It's unbelievable how powerful just talking is, and so many don't realize that because maybe in the past they've just never been accepted to be able to talk. People have
Yeah.
never listened, or people never wanted to listen. But when you find someone new, you're a little bit skeptical. You think, do they really care? But people will soon quickly realize there's actually good in this world, and it's not all bad. It's not all negative.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes, I don't even have anything else. Like that's just it. That's just it. Having the conversation and having the guts to have the conversation is it's half the battle. It's half the solution. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't know. This interview's over. No, I'm kidding. You are absolutely fantastic. I love that we see so much eye to eye on this stuff. It's great. And you have provided a really amazing space online where, like, I've seen you post the real stuff. I've seen you post encouragement. It's great to see that. Like, I didn't know about you until, whenever we connected, which I feel like was fairly recently, probably like 6 months ago, maybe. And I'm absolutely charmed by you. Like, there's not a lot of people that I look at and I'm like, they're doing something right. They're doing it the right way. It's not going to explode them into the stratosphere of growth because they're doing something a little bit more real than what people are used to. But you're freaking doing it, and I want to say thank you. What you're doing is super. I feel like not enough people tell you how important it is what you're doing. And to back up. To back up to your previous statement, which is, just saying, hey, I'm here to listen. If you don't have the PSA I want to give is, if you don't have the emotional bandwidth to listen, that's okay. I say, I shorten it even there. You don't even have to say, hey, I'm here to listen, because you might not be able to. Just say,
you might.
You could just say, that sucks. Some people are literally looking just for that validation of their negative emotion. Yeah, I heard you. That sounds terrible. I agree with you. Because so many people will say, I don't want to hear about it, or it's not a big deal, or you have so many things that are so good instead. So many more people will say that than, wow. Yeah, I agree with you. That sucks.
Yeah. The one I hate the most is, just be happy.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
I got so upset this was a while ago now, but one of my friends on Facebook posted like, you know what, guys, I just haven't been feeling well. And underneath, some older relative posted, what do you have to be sad about? You have a husband, you have children, you have a wonderful house, focus on that. And I wanted to just reach through the screen and punch this man so hard.
Yeah, it's brutal. It really is. And it's such a shame, because that's what leads further to the not talking about it. When you read a comment like that, you're like, okay, no one really does care then.
Yeah, because you read that, you'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have said anything. Yeah. You're totally. It doesn't make the feeling go away, though. It just makes you talking about it go away. It makes us hide further and further. Yeah. Just break. I love that. Sachivarel, just be happy feels like being told, just unbreak your arm.
It's exactly what it is.
I like that a lot. I think I'm totally stealing that. I'm totally stealing that going forward. You guys, exclamation the letter Q, and we're gonna bombard Andy with the best questions that we have in this community. But seriously, exclamation letter Q, and we're gonna try to answer as many questions as we can. Your questions are what make this interactive and interesting. So be there, be part of the conversation, add into it. We want to know what you're thinking about, what you want to add. Maybe you're just like, you know what, it's not a question, it's a comment, I just want to point out this thing. Totally go for it. But yeah, you're absolutely fantastic, Andy. Like, I'm so glad. I wish there were more Andys in the world, but the fact that you are uniquely you is absolutely wonderful. But so the male stereotype is one thing, but what about this idea in general that being positive is just not possible? So I'm not even talking about fake positive. I'm not talking about fake positivity. It's people who see positive people and just go, ugh,
Yeah. I see that quite a lot. I know a lot of people don't realize this. They might not realize that true happiness exists, And I've said to people before that happiness is not something that comes over a day. You know, you don't wake up one morning and you just get up, you're like, you know what? I'm a happy and positive person now. And then you're positive for the rest of your life. That's not how it works. You know, I believe you have to go through a lot of hardships in your life to even find that or see a glimpse of that and see what true happiness is. And I know a lot of people probably won't understand that exists, and people can wake up and they can be positive. You know, I try to look at a lot of the positives, and even in a dark situation, you know, and a lot of people can't do that because it might be from it's the nature versus nurture. You know how it happened when they were growing up, some of the external factors, some of the factors they have in social media now, everything that they do, who they surround themselves with. There's a lot of different factors to it. There's so many people who don't believe in positivity because there's just so much negativity out there. How can anyone be positive in a time like this? How can anyone be positive when there's so much negativity out there? The reason for me is, and when it all comes down to it, is because I choose to do it. But that happened over a long period of time of me not being surrounded by the right people, me following all the negativity and leeching off of it, and all getting sucked into me, and listening to the negative. But I took a step back and I tried to self-reflect about what my life and what direction my life was going in that sort of sense. And I said enough was kind of enough for that. I started to look for people I wanted to surround myself with, those who brought others up, those who were motivated to succeed, to stand out from the crowd, to be different. Because when you found people who were not afraid to be different, you realized how much they went through to be different and to be unique.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be themselves in whatever way that means. Yeah, and it's amazing because we talked about, you know, in the beginning, we talked about this confirmation bias that we all have. When you are negative, you look for negative things, and then they reinforce you, and you go, told you the world sucks. Here's more proof. And it's really, I don't think it's easy to be negative because it's very draining and exhausting.
Draining. Yeah, it would be.
So, because people will say like, oh, being negative is so much easier. I don't think it's easier, but I do think that it is exhausting, and I do think that it's not necessarily. I can't say that. Do you think it's a choice, being negative versus being positive?
In some circumstances, yes. There's areas where you can choose, heavily choose. There is some, and there's some areas where it does come from past experiences. It could be things that are happening going on in the brain that doesn't allow you to look at certain areas in certain ways, and that's why it's so hard, because a lot of it is circumstantial. I full-heartedly believe, though, there is quite a good few decisions that happen throughout your day where you can choose to be negative or positive. Like a Twitter post, if you see a Twitter post of someone being negative, you choose to either mute that person and move on, or respond with another negative comment. That's no one else's choice.
That's a choice. That's 100% a choice. Yeah, I agree.
That's a choice to do. And I choose to mute them, move on, and go forth with that. You know, I said to people today that, and I'm going to start enforcing it myself as well. When I see someone negative on social media, spreading a little bit of hate, I'm going to mute them. I'm going to move past it, and I'm going to go to someone's DMs who I appreciate and who's making a positive difference, and tell them I appreciate them. Because
I love that. Hell yeah.
The positive people just don't get enough recognition for what they're doing. And if we can do that and show them, hey, listen, what you're doing is good, that's going to make the world a better place. And that's going to show them, hey, I'm doing the right thing here. I'm going to stay true to my word and be positive. And then we're going to make a world full of more positive people who want to make a difference.
Yeah. That's kind of actually how I tweet. Not to bring it back around to myself, but that is how I tweet, where like I'll feel like crap, I'll feel a negative emotion, and I'll be like, what can I learn here? How can I make this positive? And that is an active choice that I'm making. I can't always do that because I do have depression, and also some situations are just terrible. If your loved one dies, or if somebody's sick, like there's no spinning that into a positive thing. No, not at all. But there is definitely most situations where I definitely make a mental effort to go, I feel terrible. I see this thing. This makes me very upset. How can I make this better? How can I tell other people it's going to be okay? What do I want to hear? Like when I tweet, what do I want to hear right now that would help me feel better? And that's how I try. It doesn't always work.
That's really interesting. And from that, actually, it seems, and from what I've gathered, it seems like the way in which we both do it is to take a step back and look at it from not just tunnel vision, but look at the whole situation. And I don't think enough people do that, and they make that just snap decision to choose that way, and it's usually just the decision that's right in front of them. But there's a whole other place that you could look, and those places behind you where you can't see could be the positives on trying to help educate others on how you're feeling, and how you can learn from that, and how you can do it. Obviously, as you said, you can't, if a grandparent's unwell or your family member, that you can't stem that to a positive right away. You can over time, and I think a lot of people do when they lose a loved one, they appreciate more. They appreciate what they've got and who they have in their life. That's turning it into a positive. But at the start, when it happens, it's shock. You can't turn something like that into a positive, and I think that's where a lot of the negative people try to swing back at you for, when you're trying to look at positives in a situation. They're like, oh my god, well, you can't do that if someone dies. Like, no, I didn't say that. I'm just saying you can actively choose to mute someone.
Yeah. Oh, that drives me up the wall when people bring up like an outside this one scenario. They're like, my aunt's uncle's grandpa one time did this thing, and what you're saying will not work for them. Literally, I had a comment yesterday. I had a freaking comment yesterday that said, in one of my posts, that said, well, this won't work for people that are blank blank. And I said, and that's okay. So it's not a tweet for them. That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't have to be. So much. I don't, like, this is not, I didn't say I have all the solutions, and if you follow me gospel by, tweet by tweet, your life will be beautiful, no problems. I didn't say that. It's not going to work for everybody. It's brutal. It is brutal.
And it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is usually like people who are generally negative, who are like, I got you. I figured it out. This one time.
You're not positive. You're not a positive person. That was negative. Like, oh my, this wasn't for you. This was just a generalized topic I was talking about. Holy crap. Yeah, well, in 2008, actually, my car, when there was a car parked, and that car shouldn't have been parked there. I'm like, oh my god, that was not what I was going for. It was just a tweet trying to help others learn. We're not going for particular situations.
That's literally the tweet that I wrote was literally my experience. I said, I did this thing. I've written tweets before that say people should blank, 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 but it was, I did this thing. And they said, well, not everybody can do the thing that you did. And I said, that's right. That's correct.
Yep,
I'm not arguing with you. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's go to questions, because we're having a blast. I hope we're not like you're not too much on a time constraint. I don't want to hold you too late, but
sorry, don't worry about it.
Okay. Questions. Okay. Bliffle Splick asks, since we're talking about guys and emotions, have you heard of the part of why fangirls are scary is because the default human is male, and boys are taught to moderate their emotional responses at about 3 or 4 years old because squealing in glee is seriously stomped out. Okay, so basically, fangirls, like girls who like freak out and get really excited, boys can't do that because that is such a response that is so stomped out and told like, okay, you can't react this way. If you get too excited, you're not being a good boy. You're not being good at being masculine. You're not being
who you're meant to be.
Yes.
I think a lot of that stems from a little bit of the older generations, the grandparent sort of generation nowadays. I think a lot of that's thankfully fading out a little bit more, but it still is really, really heavily there. And I get that for sure. I never thought to fanboy on someone, really properly.
The proper method.
The proper way to do it. That I've seen some women do it before, and I genuinely think that does come from being said, you're not meant to do this. You can like something and that's fantastic, but don't show it to other people. Do it in your own private situation. And I've done that. That was what I done when I really, really something. I'd do it just by myself. I wouldn't let other people see it. And it is a shame that's like that way. I'm hoping that starts to flush out as we start to accept more and more for men speaking out about their feelings and men just being human, like anyone should. but sadly, it is such a stigma of men shouldn't do something like that. Men shouldn't act just.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know the best way to describe the way they can and should act, but you know, it's not going to change anytime soon, sadly, because people will always have that, and the way that they were raised obviously will bring
Right.
on their sort of things. But all I would say, is start to just show off your personality a little bit more, in being you. A lot of the times when I was in school, I tried to not show off who I was and not show what I liked, what I didn't like. If it was maybe something like High School Musical,
Sure.
when I was younger, I loved that movie. I loved all of them. I never
But you're a
told anyone I loved them.
boy. You're
Yeah,
a
and that's the
boy.
thing, we're
Yeah.
not told to show that. Now on streaming all that, I speak heavily on. I love High School Musical. High School Musical is class. It's a great movie. All of them are great, but we are so accustomed and we're so drilled to be a boy, a man. You have to not show your emotions and what you like, even if it's girly. It's such a shame we live in a world like that. But all I can say is screw it. Who cares what other people think? Because at the end of the day, what is their opinion going to do if you like something that might not be perceived to what and how
Right.
you should normally act? At the end
Right.
of the day, you're going to look back in your life and you're going to thank yourself for just being you and accepting who you're
That's
meant to
true.
be.
That's true. I don't think people have regretted being themselves. Like when
Nope.
they've really discovered themselves and let them be themselves. I don't know that
Uh-huh.
that's like, I mean, I guess unless you're like a serial killer, don't be yourself. I'm trying to think of the one case because somebody's going to comment later and be like,
Yeah.
actually, you want serial
Actually,
killers to be themselves? Yeah.
good one. Yeah, I'm not supporting that.
Yep. I got it. I got her. I figured it
No,
out.
that is though, and um it's weird because we actually spoke about this today as well. It's really interesting. But if you're on your deathbed, right, and it's not to be sad about it and all that sort of stuff, but and you're looking back, you're going to say to yourself, did I regret this and this and this and this, or are you going to look back and say thank you for doing this, trying this, seeing if
Right.
this worked for you, because that's how you found yourself truly. We only get one shot at this. We do. At the end of the day, if you look at it blankly, whatever you believe in, you can believe in whatever you want. That's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
We have one shot as of right now, from what we know in this world. Why would we not try to live it as best as we possibly could and just be our best self when
Yeah.
it doesn't matter at the end of the day? You choose to do what you love. You choose to do what you're passionate about. Anyone else's opinion doesn't matter because you're doing what you love. And that's the most important thing.
Well, the other thing I say, if you're afraid, there are now over 7 billion people in the world, and we're connected through the internet. I mean, I'm interviewing, I don't know in what universe, otherwise I would be interviewing a Scotsman, right? So, is that the proper term? I don't know. It's the term I'm using.
Yep.
Scotsman is okay? Okay. But, yeah, so you're going to find whatever you're doing that's weird as can be, somebody else is doing it too. And you can find those people. If you're being your authentic self, people pull to that.
Yeah.
And people say, oh my God, that's me. I want more of what this is. And I say this as somebody who literally today said, I feel like I'm being too much myself and I'm sorry. Like I said that on stream, I don't know, an hour ago now. And I said that before in Discord where I was like, oh, you know what? I feel this, but I don't want to feel this because I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Or I'm doing this because I don't want to, but I don't want to do it because it makes people uncomfortable. But somebody out there is going, no, it's making me feel good. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. And I feel like if we could, it's exactly what you're talking about. It's your whole mantra. If we can encourage more and more people to do that, to be themselves. Yeah.
It's a
We have
long
more
journey.
questions. It's a
Yeah,
long
go
journey.
for it.
We have sorry, if you want to finish. It is a
Oh
long
no,
journey.
I was just for that. It is a long journey to end the stigma. Doing something like that and accepting if you like Glee or anything you like that perceived to be manly, it's a long journey to realize that others people's opinion don't matter. But if you stay true to yourself, as we've spoke about, and you're just you, you'll find other people who like you for you. I
Yeah.
I I am I make myself embarrassed every single stream, and it's the
Oh, same.
best thing in the world. It's the
Same.
best thing in the world because it allows me to be me, and I know people are just as weird as me and will do just as weird things as me. And it's the most fun thing to realize that me showing off my true colors, others enjoy that and others are the same because they can be weird too. And that's what we are. We're weird and wonderful humans. Show off your negatives, show off your positives, show off your flaws. That's what makes you you. And that's what's going to make you shine.
I love it. I love it so much. Yep, I tried to clip that and my clippy is not working. That's why I was like, this is an awkward pause now because I'm just pressing a button and it's not going anywhere. Ooh. Okay, anyway. But Talis, it's okay if you're making light of a very serial topic. It's okay. She's talking about, oh my gosh. Clippy is having performance anxiety, I guess. Oh my God, that's what I should change my icon. I have the clip icon. I should change it to Clippy. Then when I'm mad at it, I have something to be angry at. Oh, I love that. Oh my God, I'm going to use that. Okay, we have like 6 questions, so we got to get through these. Okay, Talis asks, how do you find going against Scottish male stereotypical roles of hard drinking, hard partying? Did your friends understand that or did they walk away?
I am the complete opposite of a normal Scotsman. I rarely drink. I'm not like an aggressive person. My friends kind of accepted that just because I've grown up with them. The people who I've known, I grew up with. Usually, I don't know if you've ever seen the thing, but I think it's if a friendship lasts more than 5 years, it usually lasts a lifetime. So I knew these people growing up. So I'd always kind of stuck with them. I did drift away from quite a few of them. As I got a little bit older, when I left school, there's a few I drifted away from. A lot who I knew in high school who I drifted away from. That was my choice. I knew who I wanted to surround myself with, and it really didn't matter how other people felt because I knew who I wanted to be around, and the people who I knew I wanted to be around, I kept in my life, and I made sure to message them and be a part of that. And they helped me do the same. When it comes to content creation, I started this without anyone knowing, even my closest friends. I'd done it for a year without anyone knowing. Before I told them, one by one, they kind of all started to figure it out. It's difficult in a sense that everyone loves to go out drinking and everyone wants to go to the pub every week or go and play like pub games like pool and darts. It's not my kind of thing. I generally don't really enjoy it. And it can be hard in the sense that you've not got people around you who enjoy doing other things other than that. You know, I would love to go and do more cinematography and photography, but I don't really have people who I've surrounded myself with that who live really close to me to do that. Yes, I found amazing people online who do so, but within that group, I don't think anyone would want to go and do that with me. It's hard in the sense that maybe the more personal connection from face to face when you get older and are going against the normal stereotypes is a little bit different, because if people are at work and they come back from work, all they want to go is then go and drink. That's not my kind of thing. I would want to come back from work and then work on my stuff and meet new people and bring up others. And that's fine. You know, that's perfectly fine to meet other people who are different. It's just knowing in yourself that you're being true to yourself and you're not following the normal stereotype. It's not to say that you're better than other people. It's just to say that you're genuinely just being true to you. You know, you're not afraid to do that, and you're not afraid to just not be like everyone else purely because that's what everyone else should be doing, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I remember coming to my father-in-law because he was like he's my closest thing I've ever had to a parental figure, honestly. So I came to my father-in-law at one point and I asked him, I was like, so all these kids in college are bonding together because they're going drinking and they're joining sororities. And I look at that and I don't like that. And I literally asked, I was like, is that okay? Am I going to be okay? And he could have said like, listen, there's life after college and it's going to be fine. But what he said instead was like, yeah, you just find people who like to do what you do. And that set me on such a great path. You know, he didn't try to tell me I needed to be something else. He didn't say, you should really go out and drink. He just said like, okay, so you like staying in and watching movies on Friday night. Find people who like staying in and watching movies on Friday night. That's it. You just redirect. Yeah. All right. Rob C33 asks, what's your favorite dance move?
Oh, I'm not really I'm a drunk dancer. That's what I'm not a good dancer. Actually, something I want to learn in the near future to try to be better, because I am horrible. And I see so many people on social media who are my close friends who are incredible at dancing. I'm just sitting there like, yep, I can't do that.
Yeah,
That's
especially with TikTok, it's exacerbated
oh
it.
yeah,
All these people know how to make dances. I'm
yeah.
like, I don't know.
I'm just sitting here like, you know what? I'll just say good. That's great. That's a fantastic dance video.
Good
I'll
for
sit
you.
here.
Good job. Good job.
Good. This is great. Yeah. I don't really know my favorite dance move then. I have no idea. Absolutely no clue.
All right. Next question is, which self-improvement resource, Stride Cipher asks, which self-improvement resource has had the most positive impact on you, Andrew? Be it a book, author, therapy approach, meditation route, whatever.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Hmm.
Honestly, so I was going to say a book. The first thing that came to my mind when you started to read that, it was a book, and it was the subtle art of not giving an F. I don't know if I can
Oh,
swear in here, so I wouldn't.
so
Um,
good. It's so good.
but it's
Not giving a blank. Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic book. And it really showed a lot of different areas I wanted to pursue, and it was great. But what I'd thought about when you got close to the end, I've never been to therapy in my life before, but when I was in school, when my mum had passed away, the school had set up like a mini therapy session
Okay. Hmm.
for people or children who might have not been the best times in their life. That it could have
Hmm.
been abusive parents, or
Hmm.
parents who weren't in the picture, or parents who had died. Um, and it was set up by a classroom assistant who hosted it every Friday. And honestly, it helped me show my emotions. It
Hmm.
helped me just not be scared to speak up, because other people had things going on in their life. So when I'd spoke about mine, I didn't feel like everything was on me. And when that had happened for me, it felt like all the family was always on me, asking how I was, and all my friends were doing the same. And I didn't know how to react to it. But when I heard
Yeah.
other things were going on in other people's lives, and I was able to share, and I was able to cry and not feel judged by doing that,
Right.
I
Right.
was able to just speak about what was going on, and I actually want to find that classroom assistant again to thank her, because that was probably I didn't realize at the time, but that was therapy. That was helping
Yeah.
me get
Yeah.
through a really tough
Well,
situation,
that
and
sounds like a
and
group
that's the best
therapy.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was I was 10 at the time, so I had no idea what was going on, but I knew I was safe and I knew I was there. That is the best thing that happened to me in that time, and that helped me got through a really really difficult time. But within a book wise, Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, definitely one that's helped me learn to be more um, me thinking. Oh, I can't even remember what the main. I can't even think of the word for it. But basically, you taking responsibility for a lot that's going on in
Yes.
your life, and that was something that
Yeah.
took really really heavily for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the point is basically like, don't take responsibility for the stuff that you can, that is in your control, and then screw the rest. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's kind of what I took from it, if I'm
yeah,
remembering
no,
it
that's
correctly.
yeah,
Sounds
no,
like I
that's
need
really
to
good. Yeah,
reread it. Yeah, it's really
it's
good.
really good though. It's really really good.
I also liked his follow up, which was "The World Is Effed," a book about hope.
I need to get to that. Yeah, I need
It's
to read that one.
it's not as strong,
Uh-huh.
honestly, but it's still fantastic. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic book. Okay. Beth asks, "Why are you so amazing?"
Well, you don't. I don't know. I can tell you that one.
No, you have to
I'm
answer
joking.
in full. No, I'm
Oh
kidding. I'm
God.
kidding. Do you feel like once you get into that negative hole, it drains you to the point that you don't have any energy to climb out of it? Asks Rabo317.
Yeah. That's something that happens heavily. As you spoke about that earlier on, it was such a good point. As when you do surround yourself with those negative people, it drains you subconsciously. You might not realize it at the time, but it is actually turning you into a more negative person. I've seen it happen for myself, and I've seen it happen for a lot of other people as well, because that's just the way the crowd goes. Um, when you do that, you do drain that negative energy, because when you see something negative, you instantly look for the negative and you choose the negative right away, and that drains you even further. And then it's hard to climb out, because you're trying to start climbing out, but you see more negativity, and the people you're surrounded by are negative. So then you go down again, and it just keeps dragging you down further. The thing that I'd done to help me get out of that was to start slowly. moving away from people who did just that and were really, really negative. It isn't something you can do overnight, because I didn't want to do it during school because you would be judged heavily for it. Imagine just one day
Right.
you got in and you just said, yeah, I'm no longer your friend. You're just acting like a child when you do something like that. You know what I mean? But what you do is you start to slowly move away from the people who are really negative in your life and are only bringing negative energy to it. And it starts to fade. You start to realize, there is more positive in life. There's more to life than just this negative energy. You start to see a little bit of the light. You start to meet people who want to spread a little bit of positivity. You find people who you want to be around, and when you start to be around them, that positive energy starts to come. When you start to see a little bit different, you realize, oh, I should be doing this more. And then that's when the cycle continues. You go all the way from the negative and you slowly climb your way out. You're not going to climb out in a day. Might not even climb out in a year. It took me about 2.5 years to finally realize what I wanted to be and who I wanted to do, searching for it. But if you're willing to do that, and you're willing to be and try to be a better person and find yourself and be your best self, it's the way to do it. Slowly move away from that, start to look at the more positives in a situation, and you'll realize over time, over a few months, you'll look back on yourself and you'll think, wow, this is a big change that happened.
That's awesome. That's what happened to me. And I've told people, like, I literally remember the moment where for the first time in my life, I was 26 years old, and I stopped and I said, huh, maybe the world isn't total crap. Like, I literally remember that thought going through my mind and where I was at the time. And it was
It's really interesting.
because I had surrounded myself by positive people for long enough that I started seeing that there were good people, and I just had to look for them a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And then I found them, and then there were more good people. It's exactly what you're describing. Yeah. There's no other way to do that. But Rabo, I would also say that sounds a lot like depression, like straight up. If you feel like you're climbing into a hole of like darkness, that's how I describe my depression. As I describe it as like a pit. I fall into it and it's muddy and wet. And so you're clawing your way up, but you just can't get out, and you feel like you're falling further and further and further down. So I don't know, just something to consider. Like maybe that's something to talk to somebody about, especially if you're feeling like you really can't climb out and you're feeling that like exasperation of, I can't do this. That's, I would recommend talking to somebody. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Sorry if you've already answered this as Taito, but what is being positive? Please feel free to be lengthy about it.
It's a really good one, actually, because for everyone it's different. Being positive is, for me, if I'm giving my definition of positivity, it's being someone who's not afraid to stand out from the crowd in a dark situation when there's light there. I'm not afraid to say to someone and to speak my mind and to speak freely, because I'm confident in doing that. Positivity doesn't have to be just, yeah, everything's great, because that's just not what positivity is. And you can nail it down to that if you want. Being positive is everything's great, being negative is everything's bad. You could do that. But I believe positivity as a whole is just being someone who's true to yourself, being who you're meant to be and who you are, because you're not afraid to do that. That person might be a negative person, and I realize I might have just contradicted myself in saying that, because if the person who you are is negative, then it's positive. But if you start to work to become a better person, that will always lead to a positive situation. Becoming a better person doesn't lead you down a negative rabbit hole. Becoming a better person leads you to realize there's good in life. There's good things that happen. I can learn to be better. I can read books to be better. The reason I started reading self-development books was to become better, and it's helped me do just that. Being positive to everyone is different, just as being successful to everyone is different. Your success to someone could be completely different to someone else. You might want fame, someone else might want money. It's two different factors, and everything can be different. And I know my positivity and what positive means to me is going to be different to what Mxiety is positive and what positivity is to her. Everyone's going to be different, but I think finding what yours is and searching for that and starting to work towards that is what's going to allow you to become and see that written out as, this is what positive is to me. And I think for everyone that's different, and I think you've got to find yours. What makes you happy, what makes you positive, what makes you look at the world and say, this might not be such a bad place. This can be good. And I think that's important for everyone to look for.
I love that. I feel like you're literally taking words out of my mouth. I didn't know we have this much in freaking common. This is wild. Last question, actually, unless there are others, this is the last question, then we can let you go. I'm going to close the queue up. So the last question is on the same topic of, quote, not everyone can do the same things, quote, I've seen quite a culture trend in shaming for anything conversely, even for things that are supposed to be natural. What do you think about that? And what do you think is what do you think would be a good way for shifting that into a positivity acceptance culture as Sign Belt 5?
So I believe that's more sort of accepting everyone for doing anything that they'd like within reason, not murder and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it is, and it's such a hard thing to do because social media is so heavily watched nowadays. Yes. Everyone is on it. That anything anyone does differently is always frowned upon. And the reason I didn't tell anyone that I'd done this for a year was because of exactly that. If you do something differently, you're frowned upon for it, because it could be for a multitude of reasons. The one that I've came to the realization for a lot of the time is that people are far too scared to be who they want to be. So they try to belittle others because they are finally trying to find who they are meant to be.
Oh, goodness.
Having that acceptance culture and realizing that it's there is hard, because there's going to be all the time a lot of people who are not going to accept you for who you are, especially if it's something really out there. So for streaming, if I was to tell everyone I'm doing that right from the start, obviously nothing was happening back then. I hadn't earned a penny. I hadn't got anyone to watch me. I had no real value at that point to external people. You always get the question about asking, when I talk to my grandparents or something for the first time that I was doing this, they're like, oh, so you're earning money from it? I mean, that's probably not the first question you should ask me. Should it not be like, right. am I enjoying doing
right
from it? And that sort of culture is what we've been accustomed to for so long, you know. And I think no matter what you do, right, and what it comes down to is no matter what, you're going to be judged for it. It's going to happen. There's going to be people who are not going to like what you do, and in a way, you're just going to have to accept that. But what's important to do is look for the people who are also doing the same as you. They've took themselves outside that comfort zone. They've started to become the person they want to be. Has someone just started maybe ballet for the first time when all their friends don't do any dancing? Is someone just took themselves so far outside that comfort zone that it's terrifying that you actually look up to them and think, holy crap, yeah, that's awesome. Those are the people you need to be around, because you're both on that journey. You're both terrified. It's going to be absolutely terrifying. And there's going to be people who are going to find out and they're going to judge you. But if you surround yourself with the people, when times get tough, when people try to bring you down, you're going to be saying to that person, hey, I'm not feeling this today. And they're going to be coming back to you thinking, you know, we started this for a reason. We started to find ourselves. We started to be who we were actually meant to be. Those people's opinions at the end of the day are never going to make a difference to the actual difference we are making. And every day I try to remind myself that no matter who judges me, or no matter what goes on, I've made a positive difference. You know, I've tried to make this world a better place. And if anyone tries to take that away from me, well, they can't, because I'm surrounded by so many amazing people now who've took that leap that I've took and tried to make a difference in this world, that it doesn't faze me anymore. The more you surround yourself with those positive people, the more you surround with those people who are not afraid to take that comfort zone to the next level, is the moment you'll realize that negative people's opinions and the social acceptance of doing something that scares you no longer matters.
That's amazing. That is gospel. That is beautiful. I love that. Holy guacamole. Holy. I think that's a beautiful. I don't think we can end on a better note than that. That's amazing. Can we get an amen? I don't think we can end on a better note than that. I am so grateful that you have been placed into my life by some coincidence of some kind of fate. I appreciate you so much, Andy, and what you bring to the world. I recall probably 2 years ago, actually. So I've been doing this for 2.5 years. About 2 years ago, I remember writing this tweet that was like, because somebody asked me, they're like, well, if you're not giving mental health advice, what are you even doing this for? And I remember I got so mad and I was like, you know what? I'm doing something completely different. I'm interviewing people about mental health. I'm talking about mental health topics. I'm focusing on mental health. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody knows what I'm doing. And I'm going to show you, but you need to give me time. And that's it.
That's
it.
It's true. And as well, thank you so much for having me on. Like I know we've not known each other for that long. Social media and these sorts of platforms can bring people together who do understand what's going on. And just thank you for even thinking about me to want to be on this. Like, it's truly, like, it means a lot more than, and I really hope you know that.
Oh, Andy, that's my heart. Thank you so much, everybody. Please give a warm round of virtual applause over to Andrew Ellis. You can follow him at all the links that we are posting currently in chat. He is on Twitch and Twitter. I'm sure a bunch of other places, but you start with Twitch and Twitter and go from there. That was awesome. Taito Magatsu wants you to know that was awesome. I can't disagree. That was so, you're so, and also, can we talk about the fact that it is late as baloney over there? And he's like giving us a show, a performance of his life. Like, it's one thing, I have moderators that are over on, like, by you, and I admire them greatly, but it's a whole nother thing to turn on lights and do all of this when it's so freaking late. So thank you so much for thinking that what this is worth that time and effort. Thank you. I appreciate you endlessly.
It's been amazing. It's been absolutely incredible.
It's been so good. All right, everybody, stick around. We will be right back. Bye.